We are primarily in the role of clarifying for our clients what the law is, helping them comply with it. I'm not a lawmaker as Attorney General. Senators, delegates do that, the governor does that, but we don't do that. We're the law firm for the agencies of the Commonwealth, all of them, defend the U.S. and Virginia constitutions, which is what we're doing in our health care case. We protect citizens by investigating and prosecuting certain crimes. There's a pretty limited proportion of crimes that we address. 99% of crime in Virginia is addressed by your local Commonwealth's attorney. Everybody runs these attorney general races as top cop. Oh, blah, blah, blah. The top cop where you live is your Commonwealth's attorney. The head magistrate of Virginia just spoke to you. He's the governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. We have law enforcement responsibilities. I manage prosecutors, but I didn't run a race, for those of you who can remember back to 2009, these campaigns, that was in the mold of many of my predecessors. I ran a campaign for someone who was going to be running the Commonwealth's law firm and would also have law enforcement responsibility. And that was viewed as a dangerous political thing to do because, being tough on crime and all of the rest sounds like a great, sexy way to win a race. The truth of the matter is that among Republicans on the courts committee, I was probably the civil libertarian of the lot, year in and year out. And that is an approach I bring to my current role. But we do pursue fraud with taxpayer dollars. The biggest area here is health care. We bring in, on an average year, more money in health care fraud recoveries than our entire office budget. And you heard the governor's comments about the growth of Medicare and Medicaid spending in our budget. This is an area we have a spectacular partnership with our federal partners, particularly in the Western District of Virginia. We have the leading Medicaid fraud control unit in the country, among states. We're the best in the country. And in a time of very difficult budgets, since I arrived, I've done nothing but cut my budget with one exception, and that is the Medicaid fraud control unit, because there's literally so much fraud out there. That unit, which was the biggest section of my office when I arrived, I have grown by 50% since I arrived, and we still have the same legal standard for taking a case. Slam dunk. Learned that term in law school. That's how much fraud we're contending with in that area. And this isn't just stealing money. The money that comes out of this pot comes from people who don't have another way to get the health care they need. We had a prosecution this past year, among many, in Chesterfield County of a mental health counselor who defrauded the Commonwealth of over $600,000, putting the names of children down that she had supposedly treated and had not. And what that did was not merely transfer to her over $600,000, it drained that money out of the pool available to provide mental health resources to children who need it. And as the governor mentioned, I have a long history of working in this issue, long before I ever was in the state senate, for years before that as an attorney working in the mental illness, working as a court-appointed attorney, for instance, for the mentally ill. And it's a subject near and dear to my heart. Some of the other areas we work on: computer crimes, child pornography. We just had 2 sentencings yesterday for 2 different child pornographers in different parts of the state. It's an area we're very aggressive in, as you might imagine. We also address gang violence in partnership with our local law enforcement and local governments, money laundering with state taxpayer dollars and federal dollars that run through our state agencies. We educate the public through outreach how to avoid becoming victims of crimes and scams. We have a particular focus on the elderly. We have an outreach effort called Triad, which describes a triangle between law enforcement, the Attorney General's office, and volunteers among seniors to get out crime prevention, fraud prevention information, and to provide resources for them to avoid becoming victims of crime. Virginia has been phenomenally successful in this area, and it's one that I've continued and grown. We just added a new chapter in Caroline County a couple of weeks ago. Virginia has more triad chapters than any other state in the country. We do very well in that prevention effort, and that is a very active undertaking from our office. We have had a number of efforts this past year in consumer protection. You have all undoubtedly heard about the robo-signing controversy with respect to foreclosures and so forth. We joined with 47 other states in October, and we are still working through investigations of how this applies in Virginia and how we can slow it down, and we've already slowed it down in various parts of the country, and to deal with this deceptive set of practices. The investigation is ongoing, and I imagine it will be for a little while. We have become very aggressive in addressing fake check scams, which have skyrocketed in recent years. Scammers are targeting senior citizens through fake check programs. Someone receives a rather genuine-looking check for X number of dollars, and all you have to do is pay the tax on it ahead of time. It's X minus Y dollars, and of course your check clears, but the fake check never does. And the average loss is $3,000 or $4,000, which I don't think anybody would say is chump change by any stretch of the imagination. And one of the sad aspects of these types of crimes is that we have an exceptionally difficult time recovering that money even when we break the crime, because a lot of it is done from offshore, and we don't have a way to reach out and get those folks. In protecting children, we've expanded our effort to deal with cyberbullying, a rather modern phenomenon, if you will. Bullying's as old as the human race, I'm sure. But this is a new venue for it, and it's taking forms that we're trying to keep up with and educate children and their parents about so that we can prevent this sort of thing. According to Virginia Department of Education's 2009 numbers, there are over 15,000 such incidents of violence against students. More than 40% were bullying, which is an increase over previous years. And like I said, you're seeing cell phones and you're seeing email and chat rooms and so forth used for this. It's a major problem. Kids bullying each other through these internet tools is a very hateful way to treat one another. My office is reaching out to educators and parents and oftentimes children. I was at an elementary school just outside Richmond not too long ago talking to all the children in the school about this subject and this particular form of harassment and how to stop it. I mentioned Triad and our efforts there on behalf of senior citizens, really in partnership with senior citizens. This isn't our office just carrying it in a program we do. The strength of this program is the engagement of our seniors and our local law enforcement. And it's really a credit to local law enforcement and to many of our seniors around Virginia who lead this effort and really make it work. And we're happy to be a catalyst for that to help lift it up. And Juanita Ballinger, many of you from Northern Virginia in particular would know Juanita. She has taken this program over around the state.